Welcome back to Basecamp Bootcamp. Today we're going to look at making routes using waypoints. Not using the quick create route tool the way that we did in the previous video, but using the waypoint tool, which is arguably a more powerful way of creating a route. Before we get started, just a quick word about activity. I always use the car activity, even though we're talking about routes for biking. I find the motorcycling profile makes irrational choices, whereas the driving profile makes choices like Google Maps. It's much easier to predict and control how it builds your route. So, first things first, you need to create a list. Just go to the File menu, select New List. Puts it into your collection, give it a quick name so we know what it is. This will be where all the information that we need for the route, all of the waypoints, is held together by the computer. See there on that left-hand side, you can see all the bits you need. So we're going to recreate the route that we did in the previous video, from Llandovery up to Crossgates. So, if you just zoom in, if there's a waypoint already on the map, one of those little icons, you can use it. Just click on it, select it, and click it again. You can either click the Add to Route tool to use the previous quick routing tool, or you can click the flag to add a waypoint into your list. You get the waypoint panel, and there it is in the collection of all the information for the route. If there isn't a waypoint where you need it, you can make your own. If you know Llandovery, if you know the area, there are two biking cafes. There's the West End Cafe and there's the Owl's Nest Tea Room, which is just down the road, but Garmin haven't put it on their map, so we'll put it on our map. Just click with the flag, we can then put a name into the panel. You could click into the name in the left hand side, but I find that fiddly, it's easier to use the panel. We can change the icon to any one of the hundreds that Garmin have supplied. It's another cafe, so we'll use the other cafe symbol. There we go. So that's two routes created, two waypoints created for our route. So I'll just zoom out and quickly fly up through Wales in a matter of seconds to get to the next point, get to our destination at Crossgates. So you could try and have a guess at where you need to put the waypoint from there, but it's better to zoom in. Accuracy is everything with this. So there's the garage. If we click on that with the select tool, again that brings it up. If you know the area, you'll know that the cafe is attached to the garage. Rather than just having Texaco, we'll give it a name properly. So there we go, Cafe Rapido is the cafe that's attached to the garage. So we want a route between one of our two Llandovery cafes and this one, so we just go to Edit, down to Create Route. That's all you have to do. Select that, and then I'll just shut that window down. Drag and drop your start point into the window, and then our finish point. There we go. Hit the go button and let Basecamp work out which way it's going to go. There are preferences. I always set it on the fastest route and then force it to go where I want it to. So here it's not going the way we want it to go. We want to go through Belthwells and out to the A44. So there's a couple of ways to make it deviate. The easy way is to add an extra waypoint in. Now you can either use the flag tool to put another one in, or on a Mac you can just use the select tool. You can either right click if you've got a 2-button mouse, or hold the control key to bring up that contextual menu, and then select create waypoint, and it'll put a waypoint where the cursor was when you clicked. So double click on the route icon, brings up that route panel, and we just drop the waypoint in where we need it to be. There you go. I'll shut the window down. You can see that's deviated that route. Still not quite where we wanted to go. Not going out to the A44. So on a Mac, we'll make that deviate using a soft point, not a hard waypoint, what we call a shaping point, just by dragging it with a black arrow. This is done differently on a PC, and I'll do a separate video using a PC version of Basecamp to show how to do that. It's always worth zooming in, just to make sure it's not making any silly little shortcuts. That's down a nasty little farm track, so we'll just move that to where we want that point to be. So there we go, we have a route. As you can see, there's not many points there, so it's going to be quite light. That means it'll be quite quick to calculate when you send it to the computer, from the computer to the device. Again, zooming in, you can see that there's a little rat run it's decided to take through Llandovery. So one thing I do with all of my routes is put a separate start point, which is not where you'll be setting off from, but a point just down the road. Give it a nice distinctive name so that it applies to that route only. I actually tend to number mine 01 start. This means that if the sat-nav is confused about where you are when you're at the very first location, say you're in the Owl's Nest car park and it's not quite sure, it won't take you around and round in circles. You can tell it to go to the 01 start point and you'll just go there nice and easily. Route name's a bit cumbersome, so if we untick the auto name bit, we can give it a nice quick name, make it easier to identify when it goes onto the sat-nav unit. And there it is. Now, say we didn't want to go from that one, we wanted to go from the West End Cafe instead. If you hold down Control and click on it, or use the right click if you've got a 2-button mouse, you can select Duplicate. You don't want to duplicate the waypoints because they're in this list, they're common to both routes. We're now going to make a second route. There's the copy of it. We'll start by changing the name, just so we know which one we're working on. This will be the one from the West End Cafe. You could use any points that you've selected. It doesn't have to be things that are this close together. This is just as the example. So change the name, then we'll remove the Owl's Nest because we're not using that one. Our start point still works though. So we'll just drag and drop the waypoint for the West End Cafe to the head of the route. That'll put it in the correct order. We can change the colour by going to the info panel, and if you zoom in at the bottom there, you'll see two different versions of the route. We're still using all the same waypoints. That's two lists that are very similar. If you've got two options for the way a route's going to end, that works very quickly, very easily. When you send it to the device, both versions will be there when you power it up.